folks. I'm Dan Gross, and welcome to the Season 2 finale of the Rochester Indie Musician Spotlight. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a lot of fun so far. This season, we filmed in this warm, local, and creative space, Bop Shop Records. For those who don't know, Bop Shop Records is your Rochester home for jazz, blues, and Americana, and classic rock in vinyl for the past 35 years. Joining me today is Passive Aggressives Anonymous, who are one of Rochester's most unique acts. With the backing of rhythm section and strings, there's only one string player here today. We'll talk about that. Their quirky juxtaposition between the serious music and the dry, witty lyrics are an absolute treat. They are Evan Wormwood on drums, Reilly Taylor-Cook on bass, Coon on keyboards, John Delmonico on cello, Elena Ryck on violin, who is not here today, but we wish her the best, and shout out to Elena, and John Valenti on guitar and vocals. They're playing at the Little Theater Cafe on December 3rd at 8 p.m., a set you don't want to miss. And don't forget to check out their first release, Not So Long Songs of Longing. We'll give you the Bandcamp link for that as well. Gentlemen, thanks so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank
you're
you.
welcome.
So we actually have started playing the set of music beforehand. We used to do it, the interview first and then the music, but I think this way is pretty cool. The music's fresh in our minds, and it's nice for us to talk about it. You guys are one of Rochester's most unique acts. I saw you guys at Fringe, and I had this giant corny smile on my face throughout the whole thing. So how did this all get started?
Oh, man. Such a question.
It's a big one.
Well, Evan and I were playing just the two of us for a while, and, kind of just singer-songwriter stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it had a bit of a comedic element to it, and I don't know, we ended up picking up different instrumentalists. We had another electric guitarist,
Mm-hmm.
and like a electric bass player at one point. And I mean, I always liked the idea of playing with strings,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe like a couple years into it, I don't know, those other guys left, and John started playing with us, and I was like, yeah, this is great, let's just have more strings,
Yeah.
and at some point Chris joined,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like a genius, and so that's always good to have around.
Yes. Geniuses are good to have around.
And then Elena kind of joined, so yeah.
Cool. So when it's just you and Evan playing together,
Mm-hmm.
did you have in mind to bring all these musicians in? Was that stuff sort of playing in your head at the time, or is it just something you wanted to
Yeah,
give a
but
shot?
it's really difficult to find people that want to commit, obviously.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I would go out. I kind of wanted more people,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. It was I remember talking to John Delmonico. Evan and I had played a show, and I had kind of been talking to John about maybe joining us a few times or something like that. And
Yeah.
I think he was really he was impressed by us, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm in."
Yeah.
Yeah, right, John?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, no, so tell us about that, John, because I was curious about this, because a lot of what you do has this. We can talk more about how you guys define your sound, but I sort of hear it as this 1930s European pop sort of thing. It still has that classical sound. So you're a predominantly classical player, right, John?
yeah, that's right. My training is all classically based.
Yeah.
But I played in a band in high school, and it was all kind of you had to improvise. And basically, nobody had a bass player, so I'd play in local bands
Yeah.
and write little bass lines on cello. So I learned to improvise that way and use my ear more. And I don't know, the music just seems to fit well. It invites strings, so
Yeah.
to me it seems kind of intuitive about what to do and how to fill in the pocket of sound. So.
Yeah, no, I was wondering about that. So, John, when you asked John 1, John 2, John A, John B, however you want to do it, did you then ask Elena to join the group too, or is that just sort of organic?
Elena and I are in a string quartet as well
Okay.
together. So, and we've played together for about 10 years. So,
Wow.
You know, it was always kind of in the back of my mind to maybe expand the string section, and I mentioned it to John, and he was receptive to it. So Elena joined about a year ago.
And you mentioned that you're used to doing the more improvisational stuff. But what you do, it still sounds very arranged. It sounds like there's a lot of thought that goes into it. Did you and Elena have to sit down and write stuff out? How did you develop the lines that you did?
Well, I think we get that question a lot. Who's writing the music? And I guess it's a really collaborative experience. It seems. You know, I'll come up with something. It might work. It might not work. You know, we kind of bounce it off each other. Same with Elena, and all of us. Same with Chris, Evan, everyone. We just kind of write our own parts, and then, you know, trying to make it work or rewrite something. And lately, Chris has had some really good ideas for some string parts, so he's been doing some writing as well. So I don't know. Yeah.
It sounds like it's very intuitive. It sounds like you guys have a really good working relationship. You can come into a rehearsal and workshop stuff. Before we get to the lyric side and the melody side, I wanted to address sort of the rhythm section players, Evan, Reilly, and Chris. When this is very lyrically driven music, I think when people think of Passive Aggressives Anonymous, they think of the fun melodies and the quirky words. So how do you three guys find a way to complement the sound and still have your own part, but not kind of put yourself too much in front of what John does?
I like to have a simple idea and play it in where the holes are, etc., and just definitely work around the melody and not overpower it. Try to be very careful about that, because we all want to hear the words and understand the humor, and we all like it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got to be careful when you playing stuff. I don't want to play too much, and I don't want to play nothing. So I play something that's small and tasty.
Yeah.
That's my intent, anyway.
Speaking of small and tasty, Evan, you play on a kid's drum set. Was that a conscious decision to fit in the sound, or just, hey?
That's how I make sure I don't interfere. I'm just shrinking my drum set smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
Eventually I'll be playing a triangle.
Might work.
The bigger the band gets, the smaller the drum sets get.
So even when you guys play out, you still play on this little kit with brushes?
It was meant to be for the smaller venues, but it's just become my kind of go-to because it's so easy to transport.
Yeah. When you're thinking of music for this, and you're thinking of ways to give a beat and to accent what they're doing, what are some thoughts that are going through your mind? Because a lot of what you guys do, it has some unison parts, but also, you know, the drums, you do a good job of just a little bit having an accent. Maybe there's a little bit of a Latin sound, maybe there's a bit of a rock sound. What's your process for figuring out what you got to do for the group?
It's definitely throwback quality. I'm probably more of a rock drummer, but I kind of keep that in mind, especially, you know, I'm playing with brushes. And John will have ideas, loose ideas that we'll just kind of work through.
Cool. And Reilly, I kind of want to ask you the same thing. As you play upright bass, so I always give a shout out to my upright bassist. Thank you. Keep on, man. Do you come from a classical background?
I come from more of a jazz background, but I've studied some classical technique.
So
as well.
When John was asking you to bow stuff, was that foreign for you? Could you kind of figure it out?
Well, I've played in some community orchestras.
Okay.
I have some experience with that sort of thing, but it's definitely different when to bow, when in more of a rhythmic context.
Mm-hmm. And we're circling back around. We mentioned it. The biggest draw with this group is the lyrics. I wrote this down for my review. What your aesthetic, John, reminds me of is Johnny Depp singing like Jack White. And I thought, I don't know, that I saw you perform, and I'm like, it just came to me in a dream. And is this something you cultivated, or is this just you're practicing for a long time and this is just the end result, man?
A fusion of those two people is what I've always envisioned myself to be.
Yeah.
You know? So, I mean, I didn't even prompt you to say that. You know, that's
good. No, he didn't. I can confirm that there was no prompting. Yeah.
How were you reading through my journals or something?
No, I was not reading through your journals. But this is what comes with, but I'm glad I asked the right question. I want to
go Edward Scissorhands, you know.
That'd be tough to play guitar. If you could do it, I'd be really impressed. How do you come up with these songs? It's like Sex and Space, Ninja. I mean, this is funny. You seem like this is sort of your default sense of humor, this dry wittiness. But how do you put that into a song and make it work?
It takes a lot of time. I'm not very prolific. I don't really know. Like these ideas just kind of like sneak up on me. I think they come. There's an indirect connection to my life and like events in my life. Yeah, but I try not to like sort of dwell in my immediate experience too much. It's more like, I don't know, how can I make fun of myself, you know? I really have to do that. Otherwise, I don't know, I am a very emo kind of person, actually, you know? And
some mixed reactions from the group here.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm a very emo person. I mean, I'm a punk, too. I'm a total punk, right? Yeah. I'm Edward Scissorhands. And
Jack White, and he's a total punk. Well, what I like about what you guys do is I think your personality shines through, and I think you all let that sort of parts of yourselves come through here. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me. You guys played a great set, and this was a good interview, too. You can check them out on December 3rd at 8 p.m. in the Little Theater Cafe. And don't forget to check out their first release. I am told that there's a new one in the works, maybe?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, there is.
Cool.
We're working on it.
They're working on it. So we'll do our best to keep you in the loop about that as well. And we'll have a Bandcamp link for their first release, Not So Long Songs of Longing. I just wanted to take a minute to sign off for the season here. We'll be back in January. We're taking a little bit of a hiatus through the holidays. We hope you enjoy your holidays. And we've had some incredible guests already scheduled for next season, and we're really looking forward to them. And we're always looking more, so if you're interested or know someone who is, please reach out and say something. But I want to take a moment to thank everyone who has made this season possible. I think it's really cool for me, and it's amazing to see how much the show has grown from when it first started this past summer to where it is now. Our first setup, it was with one reel camera, 2 cell phones, no audio equipment to speak of. Half the time, and by this I mean me, half the time I was forgetting to adjust settings. And it's really cool to see we got lights, we have great sound equipment now, and we have awesome guests as well. I want to thank my parents and their friends for their support and encouragement. Thank you to my friend and videographer, Stacey Baran, who not only works diligently and gives her best every day, but puts up with me a lot. And she's been with me since the beginning, and without her, this wouldn't be possible. I also want to thank my other videographer, Jason Thibault, who's also my occasional boss, by the way. I do work for him outside of this, who's given his time, his support, and his guidance. I want to thank Tom Cohn, Jen Niffler, and everyone who works at Bop Shop Records for allowing us to film here and for being so great to work with. We cannot wait to come back here next season. I want to thank all of my guests. You've all been wonderful from season 1. We're going to give a shout out to everybody. You guys are so important to what we do. John Lewis, Jeff Wilson, Totally Uppies, Meg Williams and Sarah Rogers, Heather Taylor, Kind of Kind, Gigantosaurus Rex, Jackson Cavalier, Fox 45, Big Fred, The Crooked North, Mulberry Soul, Personal Blend, and finally, Passive Aggressives Anonymous. Without you, my guests, there would be no show because no one really wants to watch me talk for this long. You guys are the stars, and you've set a great standard for not just Rochester music, but Rochester people. I really appreciate that. And finally, a thank you to all our fans. I know that I joke that there's only 3 of you, but I know there are more, and I really am just so glad that you enjoy what I do and that you watch it and that you share these corny little episodes. It keeps me going when I think about you guys and all the support you've given me. This is the Rochester Indie Musician Spotlight, and I'm your host, Dan Gross. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon.
Sex in space, sex in space, her idea, my disgrace. She asked me to have sex in space, sex in space. Or maybe I'm misunderstood, don't know if I'd be any good. But why not in a nest of bees? Why not in the neighbor's trees? 'Cause hell, we've done it in the sky, we've never done it quite You're a fool, and you never get the one you want. 'Cause you just mess with one when you should chase a bunch. It's a rule called many at once. Many at once. Many at once. Or she'll think that it's creepy if you are obsessed too much with your sweet pea. Oh. Many at once. Many at once. 'Cause you need a distraction. If you just mess with one, don't expect any action. It's just love, so don't treat it so precious. 'Cause you just fuck it up when you try to impress us. I'm hurt that you're hurt, and you're hurt that I'm hurt that you're hurt. It makes no sense to fight with me. You're never quite alone.